Hello and welcome to Tingwing of 5. Today I want to give you just a quick guide to BFGMiner. Now CGMiner is mostly the same because they're based off BFGMiner, but this is going to focus on BFGMiner. I just want to guide you through the interface so you understand what's actually going on here. I've noticed there's a sort of lack of available material. There is a good guide on the GitHub, or GitHub, whatever you want to call it. The actual page where you can download the source. But I want to give you a video version because there's a website around that's quite old, and that's the top search result when you look for an interface guide. So here it is. When you've got BFGMiner open, it comes up in a CMD window, and you start it up with a patch script. Mine looks a little bit like this, so it goes to the BFGMiner executable, BF1 all, set device Nano Fury oscillating to 53, and the pool, password, etc. is here. So once it's started up, you get this nice interface. So let's go through it. Now when you start up BFGMiner, you get this nice interface, so I'm going to give you just a guide to it. BFGMiner version 3.10.0, self-explanatory. This is the version of BFGMiner you're using, the time and date you started it, and how long it's been up. You've then got the menu here, manage devices, pool management settings, display options, help, and quit. Now a lot of these settings you won't need to play with at all, but it's nice to know they're there. And it tells you what pool you're connected to, the difficulty, and with Stratum user, Tingwinger. So your user would obviously replace mine. Details on the block. So this, the difficulty, and the network hash rate that's needed to mine it, and what time this block started. Then we get onto a lot of symbols down here. There's a lot of, I don't know what this means. So ST is the stage work items. F is network failures. NB is the number of new blocks detected on the network since you started it. AS is the active submissions, so I'm currently not submitting any blocks, so I'm still hashing. Even though it just accepted one then, so maybe I already did it, or maybe it's just too fast for me to see. Current bandwidth used, so 27 bytes per second or 15 bytes per second, assuming it's been coded in that actually means bytes, not bits. I am assuming and hoping. E is the efficiency that's been defined by shares accepted times difficulty per 2 kilobytes of bandwidth. I is the expected income. BS is the all-time best share difficulty you've mined. So my best difficulty is 7.44k in the last 43 minutes. Then we move on to a line with not a lot of information about it. So this 3 here determines the number of miners currently mining. And then here, there isn't for these, so I'm using 3 USB ASICs, but if you're using a graphics card or some sort of special hardware that actually reports temperature, you would see temperature along here. Then we've got 3 hash rates. Now it's important to understand what these mean if you're going to be overclocking your miners. So this first one is actually a 20-second exponentially decaying hash rate. So this is as close to your current hash rate as you're going to get. So I'm currently running at 8.3 with 3 Bitcoin ASICs. Next is the all-time average, not including rejected shares, etc. And this last one includes the rejected shares. So it's the all-time average hash rate, including my rejected shares. A is number of shares accepted. R, as you can guess, is number of shares rejected. But that doesn't include hardware failures. The hardware failures are over here. So I have a current error rate of 3.7%, most of which coming from my 2 Red Furies here. Now stale shares will also turn up in here. Now stale shares, they will also turn up in here. As we see, we've actually been lucky enough to get none. And that's pretty much it to the main area. If we go into M for manage devices, we have 3 devices here, Nano Fury, Red Fury 1, Red Fury 2. From here you can see Nano Fury 0, there'd be temperature here, and the 3 hash rates again, so that's the last 20 seconds that decays, the all-time average, and the all-time average including rejections, and hardware errors as well. So I've only had 2 hardware errors in the last 45 minutes, as you've seen from my previous video. And it's a Nano Fury version 0.7, serial, blah blah, and the oscillator bits is currently set to 53. Now this can be changed here, which is how you overclock this device. The Red Fury don't support it, but the Nano Fury do. If you press identify, that turns the yellow light on and off. Sometimes it just comes back on anyway, but we can identify the device physically in the real world with this eye. So you can determine errors, problems you're having, or maybe if it's a Red Fury, you can determine, so let's go down to a Red Fury. See, we've still got the identify here. You can determine which one needs a bit more graphite on the resistor and which one needs less graphite on the resistor, because that's how you overclock them. Videos at the end. You can disable the devices whenever you want. Find processor, so you can find a device by its driver. You can add a device, and if you do this, you can actually search by just typing auto or all. I'm just going to press nothing, so it found no new devices, and enter will close device manager, and this is going to wipe out this area here. Then if we press P for pool, we have our 2 pools. So I mine with BTC Poolman and Slushy's pool, and we have both of my workers here. Let's start over here. Current pool management strategy, failover. So my main pool is BTC Poolman, but if that's not available like it was the other week, then it will mine on Slushy's pool. F for failover only, so you can turn that on and off as you please. And it goes down every time. You can add new pools on the fly, remove pools, disable pools, enable pools, change the priority. So let's say I want Slushy's pool to be the top one and BTC Poolman to drop down. I can change that. I can even set a quota, so if I mine so much on that one, I can move over to this one. Change management strategy, so that'll be the failover sort of thing. We go into here, see failover, the round robin, rotate between them, load balance, or just balance, changing nothing, so I get an invalid selection. Switch pool, or information. So if you press S, you can just switch between them. You can't really see the top anymore, but both pools were given a number. One will be 0, one will be 1. In this case, 0 is BTC Poolman, which I'm currently mining on, and 1 is Slushy's pool. And you can get more information on a particular pool. So if we look at BTC Poolman, rejected, difficulty, blah blah blah, efficiency, items worked on, stale submissions 0, unable to get work, and submitting remotely. BFGMiner, as we've seen, is quite a comprehensive tool, and it includes even advanced settings. So you can turn your long pole, you can change the queue, you can change the scan time, expiry, retries. You can write the config file, which we'll come on to probably towards the end of this video. And B here, which restarts BFGMiner, so it saves you closing this and running a script all over again. D for display options. We're just moving along here in case you haven't already guessed. So normal, clear, silent mode, which will disable everything. So you can clear the current display, so it works on down here, bring it back up. Debug it, probably not much need for the average user. You can see it per device, so let's turn that on. Quiet, it turns more verbose stuff on, so you see more messages. RPC debug, we're not using the RPC miner this time. That'll be CPU level sort of thing. Change the summary level, so you can go from processors to, what am I on now, compact, then we've got nothing, and go back to devices, processors. Change the log interval, which is somewhat useful for some people. If you want to see down to the detail, or if you don't have a lot of space and you want it to use up less memory, you change the log interval to be longer. So statistical counts, you can change it to be absolute or weighed. That changes the message up here, so it weighs it, or the absolute accepted. Obviously absolute I think is better, it's completely up to you, user choice. And you can see 0 statistics, which I'm not going to press because I don't want it that mode. So I've turned the more verbose options on, so I'm seeing exactly what's going on. You can see that Nano Fury, it's doing all sorts of things. Each time, I'm not a big fan of this mode, so we're going to turn that back off. So we turn per device off, which also turns verbose off. All I want to see is the shares accepted. And we come on to the final menu option, Help. Now this literally tells you everything that I'm telling you here. So if you want any more information, you can press Help, or you can go to GitHub or GitHub, however you want to pronounce it, and you'll be able to see a full guide there. Now, as I said earlier, we'll talk about the config file. If you went back to settings and wrote the config file, on Windows that will write the config file to anywhere from System32 to the actual place you started the program from, and then you can launch it with your script. So if you launch BFGMiner -- config, then the file path, you'll be able to launch all of your settings that you've saved, but you do it within the limited GUI. It's kind of a GUI, it's more of a terminal GUI that BFGMiner will give you. Now I hope this has helped. I hope it was interesting for those of you who are interested in BFGMiner. It's my favourite mining software and it seems to provide the best support. Thanks for watching everyone.